Today we are going to be talking about corals and climate change. Corals are a natural treasure around the world and sadly, they're at risk. I went ahead and pulled up a research article written by the Environmental Defense Fund. They start off by explaining the importance of corals and the stresses that they are inevitably enduring. You might ask, what do corals even get stressed out about? Well, I could tell you it's not current events, although I wouldn't be surprised if some of them do. But anyways, let's get back on track here. So, the study area was mostly completed on the coasts of Florida, focusing in on the coral reefs. The other areas used for research were the Greater Caribbean region, Kenya, Saudi Arabia, Panama, Papua New Guinea, and Seychelles. So basically there's studies all over the place. Now, there are two research questions that are asked. The first question is, what is the threat to corals from global warming? And just to be clear, global warming is happening. It's been verified by over 97% of the scientific community, and us humans are making it worse. Sorry, polar bears. The second question that is asked is, can evolutionary adaptation save the corals? We'll discover the answer later in this video. I came up with 3 general steps for the summary of methods. Number 1, understand the value of reef fish and shellfish. Number 2, discover the new scientific evidence for the threat to corals from global warming. And lastly, number 3, find out the future of coral reefs. The Environmental Defense Fund completed all 3 steps and gave us the following results. Number 1, understand the value of reef fish and shellfish. Recreational fishing is extremely popular in South Florida. It is the fishing capital of the world. 60% more people go fishing in Florida than in California and spent $4.4 billion based on a U.S. Census Bureau research completed in 2006. That same research also revealed that recreational fishing supports over 75,000 jobs and generates over $441 million. Spiny lobsters also bring in a large revenue, contributing $26.4 million in total economic activity back in 2006. In addition, commercial fishing makes a large contribution to its economy, especially in Monroe, Martin, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, and Broward counties. Another interesting use of coral reefs is its medicinal properties. Marine systems are said to be 300 times more likely to harbor useful compounds than terrestrial systems. Hopefully, in the future, scientists can use them to find better treatments for heart disease, lung cancer, and leukemia. How are coral reefs a promising source for medicines? A lot of reef plants and animals are extremely attached to the reef and can't escape stressors that come their way. They engage in a type of chemical warfare by creating bioactive compounds to fight predators and diseases. Lastly, when soft corals and live rocks are harvested correctly, they can be used in aquarium trade. This is in addition to Florida's economic benefits, and the culturing of live rock can reduce stressors on coral reefs. Number 2, discover the new scientific evidence for the threat to corals from global warming. Warmer ocean waters mean coral bleaching. Exposure to temperatures a few degrees above normal for a few weeks can cause coral bleaching. Also, the more acidic an ocean is, the harder it is for coral to grow. As you can see from this chart, carbon dioxide combines with water to form carbonic acid. This breaks down into bicarbonate ions and hydrogen ions. Hydrogen and carbonate ions combine to form more bicarbonate. Excess hydrogen ions lower pH and decrease the amount of carbonate, making life difficult for marine organisms with calcium carbonate structures. I know that was a mouthful, but it's a super simple process. Another threat to corals is sea level rise. This process can drown or bury corals to the point where they are no longer receiving enough sunlight for photosynthesis. Sea level rise is occurring at an increasing rate, and pretty soon a large portion of Florida will be underwater. Start building those arcs now, Miami. Global warming also increases a coral reef's vulnerability to other threats such as coral diseases, bacteria, and pathogens. Wait, so can evolutionary adaptation save the corals? Also, how fast and to what extent can corals adapt? Corals have been able to adapt in the past, but only through long geological time periods. If the conditions of a coral's environment change rapidly, it can die. By the way, a rapid speed refers to decades, and a slow speed refers to millennia. Recent studies show that it can, in fact, adapt to warmer water, but only if greenhouse gas emissions are reduced. Another threat to corals is species diversity. A correlation has been revealed between dying coral and the number of organisms living around it. The healthier the coral, the more species are living around it. As the coral dies, diversity diminishes. Pretty soon, there's no life left. The last result is number 3, the future of coral reefs. 3 scenarios have been created to reflect what will happen to coral reefs in the coming years. In scenario A, the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere remains the same as it is now, which is 380 parts per million. This will have a disastrous impact on the coral reefs. In scenario B, carbon dioxide reaches 450 to 500 parts per million for an extended period of time. This will cause the density and diversity of coral reefs to decline. Lastly, carbon dioxide in scenario C exceeds 500 parts per million for a substantial period of time. This will reduce coral reef ecosystems to nearly non-existent frameworks. So, how is this information relevant? Well, Florida's coral reefs are a priceless natural resource, and there is an impact of declining coral health on reef fish. The research paper states if we fail to curb greenhouse gas emissions, coral reefs are likely to dwindle into insignificance. They'll be reduced to rubble. Coral reefs play a huge part in the lives of Floridians and attract many tourists year-round. They are the homes to our marine life, and it is our job to protect it.